Greetings, everybody. How you guys doing today? We're going to start out this new year doing something a little different on here. We're going to try out some Let's Read videos. Today, I wanted to start out with Nintendo Power Volume 34. This is... oh man, this is such a great issue, guys. Right here on the cover, we've got Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. I used to love when they would do these things here with, like, they got the guy dressed up in the outfit. I remember the Castlevania one. It was one of the really early issues. I just used to love these. Dude. So we open the page. Before we even get into the magazine, we've got these awesome ads. Oh my goodness. Smash into fantastic new adventures every month. Every freaking month. Look at that link. Oh my god. And then all these little players guides down here. I remember it seemed years and years after the fact. It was probably in the late 90s, early 2000s. I remember going to Walmart and finding the Mario Paint player's guide. And it was like a few bucks. They must have found it in their back room. I loved that thing, dude. I went home and I rehooked up Mario Paint. One of my favorites. Right away, boom. You get your table of contents, but very quickly, if you gander over to the left side here, we've got Super Scope 6. I don't know how my grandma was the master of buying stuff for me and then just returning it, because I definitely had the Super Scope. I had it for a little bit, and then I took it back. March 92, Volume 34. Look at this, man. I like how easy it is to read this layout here, too. You've got some NES, some Game Boy, and some Super NES games. You're looking through that list, and I'm not seeing... I'm sure Mega Man 2 was decent for Game Boy. All those Mega Mans on Game Boy were decent. Lemmings. I don't know. I never played Lemmings on Super Nintendo, but I've definitely played it on the computer. You'd be surprised the amount of people, when you bring up Lemmings, have no idea what you're talking about. Joe and Mac, I loved that game when I was a kid. And you still have some of that classy, real, like, doodly R. Crumb-esque art that used to litter this magazine. Now here we go, starting out with the Player's Pulse. Jeez, I'm getting so excited. What do you want? That doesn't seem very nice. Oh, but it was the question that they posed a few issues back. Looks like they were trying to see... Look at the... These are the best letters that they got. Give me money? Come on, Jeremy. And then look at old Timothy Deems over here. Nintendo Power boxing shorts. At least he went through the effort to create his own logo. Why was everything from Pennsylvania? Warren, PA, Bangor, PA, Cochranville, PA. Places in PA I've never heard of besides Warren. And Fairmont, West Virginia is probably not too far from here. Anyways. Nothing too interesting. Let's get to the games. Right here, the Empire Strikes Back. Now, I've played all these games, like Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back. I never played them on Nintendo. Hot on the heels of Star Wars for the NES comes an adaptation of its hugely successful sequel, The Empire Strikes Back from JVC. Isn't it so weird that we're talking about movies that came out at the point that this magazine was published, like 15 years before? Like, what came out in 2003? If they were like going on about making a video game about it today, that's pretty much what this is. But I guess it is Star Wars. It looks quite a bit like the ones for Super Nintendo, just way scaled back as you'd expect. Who could blame them for making a port for the Nintendo? Man, now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking of the Super Nintendo one, and my god, like, it's a fun game, but you basically need to put the cheats in to have any kind of fun, because you just get stuck. Nice shot of Boba Fett that they just threw in here. And, wow, they got a 3-page spread for Star Wars. That's impressive. At least they got some cool movie photos in here. Very cool. I've got cats. If you hear them in the background, they're just getting excited at this picture of Yoda. Which, man, At least that looks like Yoda. Recently, I saw him not looking too well. Here we are with Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the next Nintendo game that they're focusing on. Anytime you took home a Terminator 2 video game, though, and you popped in and it wasn't the arcade game, which was, like a light gun game, you were going to be disappointed because that game was sick. This kind of looks cool. I've never played this either. But take a look at the next page. And then here's Nightshade, folks. How have I never even heard of this game? Sometimes you'll sit there and wonder what retro game. I think I'm going to have to check out Nightshade. Maybe I'll put a video up. Maybe you guys could check it out. Listen to this, guys. Metro City is in dire need of a new hero. Organized crime has descended on the city like a plague. In steps Nightshade. He's a most uncommon hero. Instead of cape, he wears an overcoat. Okay, yeah, that makes him so uncommon. The people at Ultra and Beam Software have come up with an innovative game which combines elements of role-playing and action. The game has a real attitude, if that's what you're looking for. For example, if Nightshade is left standing for too long, he will scratch his head, fold his arms, and just sit there looking at you as if he impatiently waiting your next command. Now, tell me that's not sass. Looks interesting enough, right? Any of you ever played Nightshade? Is it worth my time? Look at over here, these tips and targets. I mean, that's a lot of tips and targets. This game looks pretty involved. Maybe I'll check it out. Or maybe I'll check out MC Kids. I have a friend named MC. That's not how he spells it, though. This is just a straight McDonald's advertisement, which is nice. Where Ronald McDonald and his pals are on their way to the NES and MC Kids from Virgin Games. Yeah. It's similar in style and play to Super Mario Bros. 3. That's one way to set expectations low. Compare it to one of the greatest platformers ever. If you take a look at it, though, it sure as hell looks like a straight rip. Look at that. This looks like original Mario. What are they doing? You got your little golden arches in your Macker. Oh, they could have done so much. Next page. Practice makes perfect, huh? I should check some of these out. Maybe if anybody watches these Let's Reads with me here, and you guys read along with me, maybe we'll try some of these games out, because sometimes you just don't know what to play or what to make a video of, and sometimes these magazines will give you some inspiration. Especially they'll tell you what to do. Look at that Grimace. Oh, man. You don't see the Grimace in video games enough. That's my thing. Anybody make him in Fire Pro? Have they made the McDonald's characters in Fire Pro? Next page. What the hell is that thing? And he's talking about Ronald's bag of magic. No, thank you. That Hamburglar is looking a little pale. Mario. Now here's a section. This over the years, the format changes and everything, or the look. But I always loved this section. Anytime I'd get my Nintendo powers, this is one of the sections I'd rip right to. Classified information, top secret, because this is where the codes would be. Do we have any good codes in here today? Rockin' Cats. I've actually played a little bit of that. Instant Energy. Those are decent codes. It was always the worst when you come in here and it would be like sound select or something, just the dumbest codes. ActRaiser is awesome. If you've never played ActRaiser, if you're a retro collector, grab it. I wish they would have put it on the Super Nintendo Classic. I really do. And it's a shame that they didn't. Oh my god, here you go. Is it seriously just telling you to get 5 dragon coins and get a 1-up, which the game straight up tells you right at the beginning? That's insane. Oh, here we are, dude. Legend of Zelda. These are the Shotaro Ishinomori's graphic novel. These mangas, comics, whatever you want to call them. I don't care. they would put these in each issue of Nintendo Power month and month, and it slowly, if you could follow along and buy the book every month, you'd get the whole story. Oh, man, I can't wait to read next issue. Look at that. Now we have entered the Game Boy section. And then these Mega Man games, like, just take a look. Very similar to the Nintendo games, just in an ugly green color. I don't think Game Boy Color was anywhere near existing in 1992. Maybe I'm wrong. Game Boy Pocket was probably coming out right around then. And then you take a look. This one has This has Metal Man. This has Wood Man, Clash Man. Oh wow, look at that. Okay, you've beaten the first 4 bosses. Now you have to go through 4 more. And then they give you Top Man, Magnet Man, Hard Man, and Needle Man. That's cool. I always thought there was only 4 in these. I never played them for Game Boy. I had a Game Boy. I should have picked one of those up when I was a kid. Lost opportunity. Then we have Tiny Toon Adventures. Another Game Boy game that looks very similar to its Nintendo counterpart. They did a lot with the Game Boy, guys. They really did. Look at that. This was only a few years in, and they were figuring it out. Like, that's looking okay based on what the system was. And I don't know about you guys, but I was right around the age range that was targeted with Tiny Toons, so I was into it. I remember the first episode coming out and stuff. I remember really liking the Nintendo game. But, you know, unless you were really well off or you were the rich kid on the block or something, it's not like you were getting every game you wanted, or even it's not like you could rent Game Boy games, so it was few and far between that you actually bought them. And then we have High Stakes. Electro Brain is the developer of this game, and it looks pretty much like just, you know, casino gambling games, cards and whatever. Is there roulette? All I'm seeing are cards. There's slots, obviously. And then you've got some mobsters mixed in. So that's kind of cool. And then, for something a little different, very different from the Zelda comment. And this was so cool. Like I said, back then, any kind of, like, content was cool. And this was just new content. I don't know as a kid if I was reading this, like, text blur. 7. When do kids read? 5? I don't even remember. Regardless, any kid that's reading this is going to be confused by the end. Look at some of this stuff. It's trippy almost. I do like this art style. I gotta say, I prefer this over the busy crap that was going on in 1992 and X-Men or whatever. I would buy this comic over that any day of the week. Take a look at this stuff with a caterpillar and they're screaming. Things hulking out. They got skedaddles and scallops and gobbles. Oh my. There's Yoshi munchin'. Yoshi Team Munchakoopa. Hang out with all his trippy Yoshi buddies in Yoshi Village. Oh, look at this though. What the hell's going on here? The guy who looks like April's boss from Ninja Turtles shows up. Friendly Floyd. He's the chairman of the Dino Chamber of Commerce? Oh man. He was trapped in an egg? What the? And then look at this. This guy is trying to hawk them products. I guess he is from the Chamber of Commerce. What else is he going to do? Mario got ripped. And then the obligatory Bowser's got the princess. Then we have an ad for frickin' what is this? White Knuckle Scorin' with Trickster. Dude, look at these guys, like, looking like they're from, you know, they're about 8 years past. It's like they were a hair band that figured out they needed to add some flannel because of the freaking grunge movement, and then this guy's a little person, I guess? What the Okay, well, no judgments. I just have never... He's not. He is not a little person because look at him up above. I don't like what's going on here, folks. What was the grand prize? You meet the band, go backstage, have dinner with the band, win a tour jacket. I'll just take the Game Boy. a copy of White Knuckles Scoring autographed by Mario. You have an actual band that made the music, but you're going to sign the name of a fictional character. And I mean, it's not even like it's that guy who does the voice. Dear Lord. Anyways, moving on. Listen to some Trickster someday. Counselor's Corner. This is where you would get stuck, and they would help you. Where can I find the healing pod or rescue Giles in Lagoon? Or in Draken, how do I get past the shark? How do I get past the road? How do I do simple things in these insane games? Say hello to the E3 team. It's funny, too, because this is not the E3 you're thinking of. It's a team at Nintendo of America. Stands for Evening Shift Team 3. Roy Binder, Casey Pelkey, Jeffrey Decker, Dennis Carino, Elaine Hutchinson, Tony Burgess, and Heather Wayman. John Gibson's in the front on the left, along with Geo Smith, and not pictured is Mike Frazier. Last seen headed toward Cafe Mario. What do these guys do? Answer the toughest, rarest, and weirdest video game questions. They're the Unstumpables. And we finally made it to the big guns, the Super Nintendo cover stories. I can't wait to get to that Zelda. So here's the game Lemmings, where your goal was to get them all to the end of the stage safely. They'd all start on the one side, you gotta get them to the other. Apparently in real life, lemmings mimic each other or some crap, so based on the game, whatever the first lemming is doing, all the other lemmings will follow the person in front of them and do exactly what the person in front of them is doing, if I recall. So it was kind of a fun strategy game, but bizarrely enough, I feel like we played it in school. And here's some of the things that the lemmings can do. I don't think we need to really waste too much time. I wanted to take a look at Joe and Mac. I remember loving this game. Now, my childhood in video games is rife with all of these, just any random platformer they could think of because of Mario. And then once Sonic hit big, they all became like animals. But right here we've got some cavemen with a very non-cave looking woman. Two-player simultaneous thriller from Data East. And the cool thing was that it was two-player simultaneous. A lot of games like Mario and stuff, you could take turns on two-player mode. This, you could jump in the action together. Look at all this cool stuff you can do in this game. I liked this. Okay, on this next page here where we start at Stage A, Resting Rex. Look at these bones. They're everywhere. 1, 2, 3. I will nip it in the bud. Oh my goodness. They're everywhere. Look at these things. Very unfortunate. Ooh, and look at the freaking poster. I don't know if I want to rip out my Joe and Mac stage bone strategy guide thing here, but the fold-out poster is awesome. It's Addams Family, coming soon for the Super NES from Ocean. And finally, oh, look at this, Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. Now that's the Link so many of us are dying for them to make like a great action figure of. I saw Jax does their World of Nintendo. I'm not entirely happy with that line. I would love to see classic Nintendo characters based on their vintage artwork. I would love to see a Link that looks like an actual human being as an action figure like that. That'd be cool. Look at them comparing the Zeldas at the bottom here as if... Look at this too right down here. Look for The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past at most Nintendo dealer locations May 1st. It was a hassle trying to find games back in the day. It really was. All the way up through, I remember, I'd say up to Nintendo 64. Anyways, we got a nice spread here with all of Link's tools of the trade. All nice artwork depicting everything from the game. Little descriptions of them all. Most of us are very familiar with all this. It's just cool to see it this way. Link has some very risque outfits. That man needs to watch himself in this day and age. And then you've got the map of the Light World. Nice, look at that. Oh, jeez. It's been a little bit since I played it. A few years since I've last replayed it. It might be about time. I'd like to do this and go straight into Link Between Worlds. Lost Woods, Kakariko Village, Flocks of Angry Chickens, The Secrets of the Trees. Listen, this magazine was worth its weight in gold. Because like I said, right now you could Google search a guide on Zelda Dungeon or whatnot, and you're good to go. But back then, this just laid out like this, even to this day, to have this in print form laid out in front of me is so much more easy to follow than even if I have an extra screen in front of me. For whatever reason, something about physical form. I love the picture of Link fighting that mud guy in the desert. That is so cool. And I will just quickly show you the pages because we don't need to spend too much time. It's basically full out Legend of Zelda Link to the Past guide. Everything you were looking to know. Up until the Dark World. This is what they always did to you in Nintendo Power. They'd give you 2 or 3 levels and say, good luck, you schmo. Right here, they took us through the whole Light World, and now you're off on your own for the Dark. But there was so much help in that Light World and just descriptions of everything, so that's really good. I really miss Nintendo Power. Now, here we go. We've got the Nintendo Power Awards 91. The Nesters, if you will. If you remember, there's a little comic strip in every issue. I don't think we got to it in this one yet. And that little dude there, Nestor, stars in it. Theme and fun for challenge, play control, multiplayer. What do they say for the best multiplayer or simultaneous? Battletoads, Tecmo, Super Bowl, F1 Race, The Hunt for Red October, and Super Tennis. Questionable with those Gameboy games, but whatever. Bowser should be best villain because Mario World's one of the best games ever made. Dr. Wily has had his time in the sun. Dark Queen weak. Sardius. Name one person you knew ever that fought Sardius. Gets to the end of frickin' Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And why is Zelda from Star Tropics in here? Is that game that old? Or that new, I guess? Most innovative, you had Final Fantasy II. What's the Infogenius personal organizer? They're lying. They are lying to you. Then we've got Best Overall. NES, it was Battletoads, Ninja Gaiden 3, Star Wars, Star Tropics, and Tecmo Super Bowl. I mean, Star Tropics is really good. Ninja Gaiden 3 is okay. Battletoads, I wouldn't be playing that version of it. Man, Tecmo Super Bowl was pretty good. I remember really liking that, but maybe for multiplayer that should win. I don't know about Best Overall. Nintendo is on its way out here. For Game Boy, probably Metroid 2 Return of Samus. A lot of us are replaying it this past year on the 3DS, remade into basically a different game. But Super Nintendo, you had ActRaiser, Final Fantasy II, SimCity, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and Super Mario World. Hands down Super Mario World. No disrespect to any Final Fantasy fans. Super Ghouls and Ghosts is inaccessible. If you're one of the few people that can play through that insanely difficult game and beat it, great, good for you. But like when 1% of the people could say they've done it, you failed as a game designer, and that's just my opinion. And I still go back and try to get past the first level every time I turn on my Super NES Classic. Those games are just, maybe I'm the worst. Maybe I'm the worst. Show me your video if you've beaten Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Put a link right there in my comments. I'll click on it and like it. Oh, man. But yeah, and ActRaiser is wonderful, too. Like, that's a good set for the Super Nintendo. They were on their way, but Super Mario World, without a doubt. Oh, my, that's one of my favorite games. And then we've made it to Nestor's Adventures, where it's just too sloppy looking for me to want to read through. I don't know what it is about it. Just the inking, maybe. Very sloppy. It's like they realized they still had to do this and put it together as quick as they could. And whoa! I have destroyed your cannon, you miserable cur. I glanced down at that, and I was at the edge of my seat till I got to that last word, and that was a close call. Power Players. Congratulations to all this month's Power Players. Some of that great artwork that I love so much up there. Those are good guys. And then we have George and Rob's Now Playing. Two guys' opinions on the latest releases. I mean, I'm not going to give them the time of day. Those are hideous drawings. I don't want to see two guys going back and forth about against their games. Complaining about the touchiness of the controls in sticky situations. Alright, these guys aren't the worst. Wizardry 2, Knight of Diamonds. Have I ever played that? Right. And look at the latest releases, guys. Look at the latest releases and some of the scores on them. The best reviewed Nintendo score overall would be The Empire Strikes Back. MC Kids. Super Square Deal averaging. Wow, MC Kids is probably the highest rated thing. Oh wait, Nightshade. They really liked that too, which they described as crime-fighting adventure, I bet. Legend of Zelda, they're given a 4.7, a 4.3, a 4.8, and a 4.9. I mean, see, here's the thing. That game's an easy 5 for me, but like the fact that these guys, those are really good scores. No, there's no 4s anywhere else on this whole page, but it's still not a perfect score for a game that you could say deserves it. So, I mean, I like a hard grading system like that. That way you don't get a million 10 out of 10s and then dilute the meaning of it. Speaking of diluting the meaning, look at that chart key. I remember all this stuff. And then we've got the March 1992 Top 20. I'm sure a lot of you have been on bated breath waiting for this. We've got number 1, Mario 3. Number 2, Battletoads. And number 3, Dr. Mario. You could peep through, pause the video, and, you know, peruse the rest of the list if you please. Are these points real? Because, I mean, I feel like the very first issue of Nintendo Power, they had points already. Although they did do that Power Club mail. Okay, yeah, whatever. Maybe they're real. I doubt it sometimes. Mario World, F-Zero, and Final Fantasy 2. Final Fight and SimCity rounding out the top 5. You taking a look at that list for that first year of the Super Nintendo, you had Mario World, F-Zero, Final Fantasy, Final Fight, SimCity, ActRaiser, Link to the Past, which I think we'll have to get to the top of that list at some point. You just had so much. Castlevania 4, I love that one. Contra 3. Super Nintendo really is like the best system ever. Then you've got Game Boy down there, Super Mario Land, Metroid 2, and Dr. Mario. No surprises. Turtles 2, Follow the Foot Clan. I had that for sure. For sure. Wow, and then look at this. Right when you think the fun is over, they're throwing everything at you. What are your favorite Game Boy games? Let's take a look. We're not going to go through every one, but I'll read a couple. We'll get Wendy Hector, a girl from Davis, California. And back then, like, you just didn't meet too many girls that were playing games, whether it was just like a societal thing or just they weren't expected to. But like, I wish I would have knew gamer chicks back then when I was 5. I know them now. She likes Bases Loaded, Final Fantasy Legend. I was going to make fun of her for misspelling it, but I've noticed that it's also misspelled over there in Joel Simmons because why not? Everywhere. Somebody didn't know how to spell the word legend. Follow the Foot Clan, Dr. Mario, Spider-Man. Yeah. What about Blake Solinsky? My cat's name is Blake. And he looks about as bright as not. Hey, Blake, you could be watching for all I know. This dude loves himself some mother freaking Final Fantasy. He is not afraid to just play RPGs on his Game Boy. John Miller straight up just didn't feel like writing. He took the easiest thing. I like Golf, Tetris, Mario, Quirk, Spider-Man. Everyone else has got like a paragraph. I have no idea what this show is or who any of these guys are. It was a fast-paced Fox comedy series back before The Simpsons really had cemented Fox as a power player. I guess 92 they were pretty much there. Ooh, Pack Watch. WWF Super Wrestlemania. This is the precursor to what would become, up to that point in America, the best wrestling games we had. which would be WWF Royal Rumble and WWF Raw. They were okay. Looking back, they're pretty bad, but they were okay for the time. If only we would have known about Fire Pro over here in the States up on the playground in Hermitage, Pennsylvania. You better believe things would have been a little different. But, you know, when you're a kid and you see these cool graphics, a Hulk Hogan and frickin' Taker and all that, I remember renting this game. Thank God I never bought it. Addams Family, The Duel Test Drive 2, Gargoyle's Quest. I'm pretty sure, isn't that based on a game that was a spin-off that was only on the Game Boy? There's a story behind that. I might be wrong. Look, you got a video of screen cap of Street Fighter 2 down there that would go on to be released 85,000 times. Then we have the CES Special Report. Nintendo of America constructed an elaborate temporary structure of more than 65,000 square feet at the Winter Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. Is that going on right now, actually? I think I just talked to someone that said they were going to that. There, pack watchers found a big top atmosphere and 54 licensee exhibitors showing off hundreds of games for the 3 Nintendo systems. Amidst jugglers, video game characters come to life, and an interactive Mario, we found the following scoops. Oh my god, look at this right here. The big news from Nintendo was the announcement of a CD-ROM for the Super Nintendo, which is scheduled for release next January. That was gonna be the Super Nintendo PlayStation. A deal they backed out with Sony and created a giant in the industry with one backstab. That's insane. It's just so great right there. None of us were the wiser. Oh man, that was some 90s stuff going on. Look at all this. The Flintstones. Whenever they say that people just keep redoing things over and over now and there's nothing new, I mean, it might be worse nowadays than it ever was, just with commercialization and marketing, but look at that. There's the Flintstones right here in 1992. Like 30 years after they originally debuted. 30 years. Turtles 4 was on the Future Game Pack Watch. Anything from NES that ended up being great? Not really. Although I did like Wizards and Warriors 3 if I remember. And Yoshi was an okay puzzle game. And folks, we have made it to the end. Next issue, you got the Addams Family. You got Captain America and the Avengers, which I always preferred for Genesis, actually. Star Trek and Super Wrestlemania. You get some back issue information right there. Which it paid to get back issues because, like I said, sometimes you needed that info in the games. Then you've got another advertisement for the player's guides and whatnot. Whoa, look at that. How do you like the new comics? What do you think about having advertisements? Overall, how do you like the new Nintendo Power? So there they go. They were asking, what's the score? And then on the back, quick ad for Mario with the repair outfit. Now, is that outfit right there in Mario Maker? Or not Mario Maker, but Mario Odyssey. That's what I want to know. Thanks, everybody, so much for checking out my Nintendo Power Let's Read for issue 34. I want to try to do more of these. I would like to, this was my first try at this, so absolutely want to hear the feedback. I don't care if it wasn't good. Like, you could tell me that. I've always been the type of person that just says, let me throw it out there, see what it's like, and then fix it later, right? Adapt. So let me know, definitely. I'm looking forward to the feedback, and I have a lot more issues. I would like to maybe even invite some friends to look through them with me, because friends are really good, especially if you grew up with certain friends, of rattling those nostalgia memories loose. So I've got a few friends like that. So stay tuned. And thank you for checking out Ryan Gaming 365. Let's read Nintendo Power.